We are waiting for Dave Fogerson to come back into the policy. One moment.
Good morning, everyone. Seeing as how the chair of the committee is here, even though I'm listed on the agenda for a number of things at the start here, I'd like to defer to Mr. Rob to take charge here.
Awesome. Thanks, Mr. Denhart. I appreciate everybody being here. I'd like to call this meeting of the Cybersecurity Task Force to order. And Shreen, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Tim Robb.
Here.
Bob Denhart.
Present.
Frank Abella.
Here.
Paul Embley.
Present.
David Fogerson.
Present.
Sanford Graves. Tim Horgan.
Present.
Jeffrey Lewis.
Present.
Akeem Patel.
Present.
Brandon Peterson. Sandy Rubalid.
Present.
Billy Samuels.
Present.
James Wood.
I'll be speaking on behalf of James. This is Tal Zamach.
Terry, you do have quorum.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We will move into our second agenda item, public comment. No action may be taken under this matter until it has officially been made a part of the agenda. As of July 1, I've been made aware that we have to read in the meeting dial-in information. So I'll read that right now. To dial into the meeting, it is 1-669-219-2599. And the meeting passcode is 686-734-8625, and then press pound. And do we have anyone that is in the room maybe that has any public comment?
Hey, Tim, this is Samantha Laddick. Sorry to bug you, but I think you read the meeting passcode wrong. I think you said 686, I believe it's 738-8625. Is that what you have?
Yeah, that's what I have. Sorry about that.
Okay. No worries.
Do we have anyone wishing to make public comment? We'll give it a minute to let the YouTube catch up. Ms. Whipple, has anybody joined on the phone?
There is no written public comment, and I don't see anyone on the phone that has a comment.
Sounds good. I think we've given it enough time. I think we can move into agenda item number 3, approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? I'll take the motion from Akeen, second from Dave Fogerson. And we'll move into a vote. All those in favor of passage of the meeting minutes, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes. We will move into the overview of the federal fiscal year 2023 state and local cybersecurity grant program, agenda item number 4. And I believe we have Amanda Jackson with the EM that'll go through that overview for us.
Hi, thank you, Amanda Jackson, for the record.
The notice of funding opportunity for fiscal year 2023 is going to come out on July 11th, and then the state's completed application to FEMA is due on September 12th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. FEMA will be distributing $400 million to the states in fiscal year 23, which is more than double what was available in 22. However, there'll be a 20% cost share for fiscal year 23 as opposed to the 10% cost share for fiscal year 22. We at DEM are going to review the project plan next week and set dates for the subrecipient application period. We do know that we'll be able to give a longer application period for subrecipients this time, probably about 30 days. The focus of fiscal year 23 is to move into the implementation phase of the plan. The recommended focus areas are prioritizing cybersecurity critical infrastructure and cybersecurity considerations of water, education, wastewater, healthcare, energy, and elections. We're not required to update our cyber plan or our committees, but it was suggested in FEMA's technical assistance pre-NOFO webinar that we consider adding members from the aforementioned sections to the cybersecurity task force if they're not already represented. In fiscal year 2022, only objectives 1 through 3 were required to have accompanying projects, with objective 4 being optional. In 22, objectives 1 through 3 were required to have objectives with 4 being optional. 23 requires all 4 objectives to have projects, so we'll have to make sure that we hit all of them next year. And I wanted to make clear that organizations with representation on the task force are eligible to apply for SLCGP funding. So please let your organizations and your partner organizations know that this is coming so we can get a bunch of applications for fiscal year 23. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Amanda. Does anybody have any questions for Amanda? Sounds pretty straightforward. I think it's a good thing that we have a little bit more time for the next one. I think that that's a great thing for everybody involved, and excited to see the next iteration of this program. I think with that, unless there's any last minute discussion pieces, I think we can move into agenda item number 5. So agenda item number 5, and Bob, I don't know if you want to take this one since you started this process with the team, but this is the FFY 2022 SLCGP project and budget proposal presentation. Bob, do you want to take this one?
I'm open to taking it. I see this basically as just being MC for the presentations. So, you know, I'm happy to take the lead on this. So we will now hear project and budget proposal presentations. These presentations are limited to 5 minutes. But this is the project representative's opportunity to let us know what these projects are, what their goals are, and what their intended outcomes are. So we'll start off with item A, which is physical security. Avion, I'm going to guess how to pronounce that, access control manager, badge and card reader system. So who will be, I don't have in front of me, who will be speaking for this?
Hey, good morning. Mark Bedrosian with Douglas County's Technology Services Department. Our existing physical access for all county facilities currently resides in a pretty antiquated system and on a platform that is very difficult to manage in and doesn't really allow us to have some modern functionality, modern UI, and effective reporting and alerting, that sort of thing. So the intent is to convert the existing system over to a new platform, and we have a test base for the Avigilon platform already in our environment. It's currently used in our jails for camera systems and that sort of thing. And So we are looking to, again, convert over from an existing system to the Avigilon ACM system, as well as incorporate more doors around the county facilities into the environment to improve awareness and physical access control.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the committee members?
Yeah, this is Billy Samuels. I'm going to have this probably gonna be the same question for a lot of people. If this is such an antiquated system, why haven't you not factored in your own upgrade of your system in the past, and has that not been a capital item for you guys?
Great question, Billy. Thanks. Historically, I can't account for why it wasn't targeted as a system in need of a significant upgrade. I've been with the county for a few years now, and it's one of the systems on my radar for something that needs to be modernized and needs to be addressed. So, that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Again, this is going to be a common question for everybody.
All right, any other questions from the committee members?
Oh yeah, this is Akeem Patel. I have a question. It says in your plan, it says that this is focused on the objective to develop and establish appropriate governance structures, including developing, implementing, or revising cybersecurity plans to improve the capabilities to respond to cybersecurity incidents. Can you talk about how this?
Akeem, this is Shereen, you cut out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it clearer now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. It says in your application that the objective of this project is to develop and establish appropriate government structures, including developing, implementing, or revising cybersecurity plans to improve the capability to respond to cybersecurity incidents. I'm unclear how this project kind of relates to cybersecurity plans and responding to cybersecurity. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Mark Bedrosian again, IT manager with Douglas County. I mean, as far as how it relates to, implementing cybersecurity plans and that sort of thing, I think physical security is an aspect of cybersecurity, right? And access to critical areas and facilities and structures. So I think physical security controls and awareness, reporting, alerting, and the ability to have modern access to these systems, controls, and be able to develop and implement them with appropriate controls is a critical aspect of our physical security plan and part of what we want to accomplish in relation to our overall cybersecurity efforts and that sort of thing. So.
Mark Dave Fogerson. What Akeem's talking about is an application questions number 2. There's 4 objectives for this grant process. And the question that you guys checked was objective number 1. And that is really about writing plans and developing plans, not physical security. I think if you're going to talk physical security, you need to be maybe objective number 3, implement security protections commensurate with risk, is I think where Akeem's getting at.
Understood. Yeah, thanks, Dave, and good morning. Nice to see you again.
Morning.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. I'm not sure if that was a misclick during the actual submission process. But I would agree. I think that it fits more appropriately with that objective. Not sure if that's something that we can change in the Zoom portal at this stage in the game, or if it's just a matter of documenting it from a record standpoint.
I'm sure staff can figure that out for you, but I'm not the cyber person, so I'd like to talk to the cyber folks to see if you guys think this is a cyber project or a physical security project, or is there enough of a nexus for you to say this is a cyber project?
No, I've always maintained the idea that there's no security without physical security. So if you know, if you're securing like a data center or something like that, physical security needs to be part of that, and that provides a nexus to cyber. But it's kind of a case by case basis.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I would second Bob on that one.
All right, any other questions from the committee? All right, seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to item B, which is firewall network edge refresh.
I believe that's Douglas's as well.
Is that one also Douglas County?
Yes.
It is indeed. Again, Mark Bedrosian with Douglas County. So I think this one's pretty straightforward. We have existing high availability pairs of edge firewalls in our environment today that are have not been something that we've been able to incorporate into a replacement cycle at this stage in the game. So we're seeking to secure funding to refresh that in this coming year and upgrade our I don't remember the date that the existing firewalls were put in service, but it definitely predates my time with Douglas County by quite a stretch. So we're looking to again bring those to current standards and be able to ensure that support and updates and everything that goes along with maintaining an effective perimeter is something that we can accomplish in the short term and have the longevity associated with it. And then we'll continue to work towards establishing existing budget for replacement plan and around the actual life cycle of the devices in our environment.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the committee?
I have one. This is Tim Morgan.
Go ahead.
Mr. Bedrosian, have you accounted for any ongoing costs that these new devices will compel you to in future fiscal years, ongoing support and maintenance, that sort of thing?
Yeah, ongoing maintenance and support is something that is already budgeted for in terms of the annual, support and subscriptions for the various feature sets that Palo Alto offers. So that aspect is already accounted for in our budget. And I will say on the application questions, it looks like we have objective 1 selected for this one as well, as opposed to objective 3. And I'm going to guess that's the case for all of our applications. I think there was a copy feature used to duplicate the applications throughout the different projects.
Right, anyone else with a question on this? All right, seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to item 3, multi-factor authentication for end users and endpoints. And this one is Douglas as well.
Yeah, I think the next 2 or 3 are us as well. So again, pretty straightforward. Multi-factor authentication in our environment is not something that we have today. It's very much something that I'd like to see accomplished in as many areas of our environment as makes sense. Of course, we always want to manage security with functionality, right? Try to find that fine balance. So we know that from an election security standpoint, MFA has become more and more of a requirement from the Secretary of State's office. We currently have our clerk treasurer's office utilizing 2 different MFA services, and we don't have a standard established for the entire county. So this would be a move in that direction of standardizing a product and feature set that would be available for utilization throughout the county, in addition to some of the multi-factor authentication features that we have in place around our Office 365 and Microsoft 365 environment, but that doesn't lend itself to actual MFA on individual users, PCs, and that sort of thing for logging in. So I'd like to get to a place where we can be passwordless and utilizing MFA depending on, different trigger points. So.
All right, thank you. Any questions on this from the committee? I don't see anyone speaking up. I do have one. MFA is, an ongoing project. It's not a one and done type of thing. So have you accounted for the ongoing costs of this, what's essentially a subscription?
Oh, sorry, misclicked on the mute button there. It is something that, based on the dollar amount, I don't see this as being a major lift for us to get built into our next fiscal year from an ongoing maintenance and subscription perspective. I think it's really just the initial lift and stand up implementation.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to item D, backup data center environment. And go out on a limb here, Douglas County.
It is indeed us, sir. In the last fiscal year, we were able to build out an off-site data center as our primary data center to alleviate some audit findings that had been repeated for several years with the idea that our primary data center had been located in a basement and with the idea that it was in a floodplain and that sort of thing. So we were able to utilize some special funding that we had to establish a new data center, and this effort is to try to create a mirror image of that data center as a backup site, and again allow us to have redundancy and resiliency in the event that we experience a significant cyber event. Our existing call it backup features are comprised of, well, what we'll call a somewhat cobbled together array of equipment that does not match the equipment that we have as our primary. So we'd like to have parity.
All right.
And to respond to what's probably coming from a sustainability standpoint, we are working toward, again, a life cycle replacement plan for all of our infrastructure in terms of annual or life cycle based funding for replacement and upgrades and that sort of thing.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the committee?
Yeah, this is Akeem Patel. how much of your environment is this actually going to duplicate and get up and running in a backup capacity?
Well, the intent would be our entire environment. With the exception of our public safety Spillman environment, which is a separate standalone and already redundant system.
Any other questions? All right, seeing and hearing none, we'll go on to item E, Nevada cybersecurity for the judiciary.
So I believe that that is the AOC. This is Paul Embley. I believe, as many of you know, the courts within Nevada are decentralized in nature, meaning that the counties have a role in providing many of the services for the counties, and yet the AOC is the hub for many of the activities that happen. We have, as the population of a county rises, we have greater confidence in their abilities from a cybersecurity standpoint, but the purpose of this is to do an assessment, and especially with the smaller counties, on determining what their capabilities are from a cybersecurity standpoint, and then helping them to harden their things. And this is even more important as we talk about things like a statewide electronic filing. I won't regale you with all the problems that you have with open access to the public, where they can file attachments and have their way. But it is pretty important that we have confidence in even the smallest of our partners. And so that's what the intent of this is to do the assessment and then go from there.
All right, thank you, sir. Any questions on this item?
Yeah, this is Billy Samuels, Bob. I have a question.
Sure.
So I'm looking at the funding of this one. It's $925,000 to do an assessment. Have we reached out to CISA and see if they can at least get us started on that assessment side? That seems like a lot of money just to analyze where your shortcomings are.
Yeah, so we actually have reached out to CISA, and they are participating with us on this, but they do limit what they will do. They prefer to work with a couple of different agencies, the motherships versus going into the counties. They're just not quite set up to do small counties at this point.
Okay, yeah, that just seems like a lot of money for just an analysis. That's just my 2 cents. But thank you. That was my question.
Yeah, and we have always learned that we can do something with whatever amount is given to us. So while maybe 900,000 is too much, there may be an amount that's would at least get us started, and then we're pretty good at finding other funding sources. If we need to cut back on one area, we can find ways to fund that through other areas.
So this is Akeem Patel. To add on to that previous question, doing assessments for all the various entities across the state does not seem like it'd be feasible to complete within one fiscal year. How much of this project do you think you could actually complete within this fiscal year?
Actually, I think that we can get pretty darn close. So we do have a couple of CISSPs on our staff, as well as if you'll note that there's some contractors built into that. So I won't say that we're the most nimble, but we are pretty small and nimble from that perspective. The big thing to your question is going to be how can the counties respond in a timely manner? And so that's going to be the real probably the biggest hurdle in all of this. We know that some are very responsive, others take a little bit of prodding.
I've just sorry, go ahead, Bob.
No, go ahead, Akeem.
Oh, I was just I've sat through a few BCDR processes before, and in my experience, there are usually multi-year processes for every entity. That's kind of my concern. Like each entity itself it's a multi-year process. So if we're trying to coordinate across multiple entities, I think that expecting it to get done within 1 year is not like it seems unreasonable to me. But that's just my experience.
Fair point. We'll certainly take that into consideration and manage those risks.
Hey, Amanda Jackson, Dave Fogerson, when does this money have to be spent by? What's the end date?
Give me 1 second. Let me get that exact date for you.
Okay. And then once she's looking that up real quick, Paul, so you're talking about doing this for all 17 counties in Nevada. So that would include the rural counties, because one of the requirements of the grant, we have to spend a certain percentage on rural counties. And right now we're lacking that from the rural county participation. But if you're going to do rural counties too, then we can count that towards the grant requirement for the rural counties. So I just want to confirm you're talking all our frontier and rural counties as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually probably where we'll spend the most efforts is with the rural counties. When I go to Clark County, they have the resources, and it's usually a pretty simple conversation and a bunch of tick boxes that are checked, and then you move on. But the rural counties, it's going to be some of our courts contract their services out and have gone through 3 different vendors, and so those are going to be more difficult conversations on assessing their capabilities, which typically are not great, and then actually working with the courts to say, okay, how can we get you the resources that you need? So yes, to your point, rural counties are definitely a big part of what we're talking about.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Dave, Amanda Jackson, I have that date for you. The period of performance end date is August 31st, 2026. For closeout purposes, we usually ask that projects be completed a year before that, but we can't extend it 6 months. So August 31st, 2025, we can extend that another 6 months or so if we need to.
So we're looking at probably a 2-year performance period. Yeah, right. Just by the time we get all the money and all the agreements and everything out there, it's probably a 20-month performance period. So at least that's a little better than a single-year performance period. And then the next one will be that full 3-year performance period, hopefully for everybody. Thank you, Amanda.
Right, yeah, thank you for clarifying that. Any other questions on this item? All right, seeing and hearing none. Thank you, Paul. We'll move on to item F, cybersecurity, and this is the city of Sparks. Do we have anyone from Sparks speaking on this online? All right, it doesn't look like it. So we will move on to item G.
Vice Chair Dave Overson, probably gonna have a little discussion about how we do it here at this committee.
Sure.
On the Nevada Resilience Advisory Committee, the Committee on Finance for Homeland Security, and the Homeland Security Commission, if the applicant does not give their presentation here, we do not consider the project. Because we feel that the board can't rank those projects without having that person here ask.
That's very good.
We
point.
haven't made that rule yet here because it's our first time doing it. So I just want to bring up, that's how we've done it in other places. We can have staff and Zach or Amanda, have we reached out to City of Sparks to tell them that they had to be here today?
Sorry, Amanda Jackson. So it has been communicated in bulletins, but I do have contact information for City of Sparks people that have submitted the application, and I'm happy to call them if you'd like.
Would you mind following up and then we can pull them out of order? And
Sure.
That's okay. Sure. Vice Chair and Chair, just that way we stay kind of consistent through our grant portfolio and how we do things.
I like consistency. Just so it goes hand in hand with security, you know, consistency, that's one of the hallmarks. All right, so we will table item F for the moment and move on to item G, White Pine County.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
For the record, this is Tabitha Hamilton with White Pine County. Our project consists of a request for $1,356 to send one of our IT personnel to a DEF CON conference in Las Vegas to be trained and familiarized on relevant cybersecurity subject matter. And these costs are based on GSA rates for travel. And then the second component of our project is for professional services related to firewall configurations. So the county has purchased the software, but now we need those configurations to complete the installation. And I will have White Pine County's IT manager give a little bit of detail on where the county is currently with cybersecurity.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Jason Hutchins, IT Director for White Pine County. I'm glad to be here this morning. Yeah, so basically I took over IT management from a managed service provider about a year ago. Did an evaluation on all aspects of IT in the county and am in the process of doing a full refresh, including firewalls, storage, backups, servers, the whole works, and a big part of that is the antiquated firewalls, which I've purchased, and I'm just looking for some assistance with the configuration just by somebody with more specific Palo Alto experience, just so I do it correctly and keep it as secure as possible through the process and the transition. But I'm glad to answer any questions. And I've budgeted, for maintenance of these devices already ongoing. So this is really just a sort of an initial setup and stamped and sort of sealed delivery. So.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, sir. There any questions on item G?
This is Akeem Patel for the record. Are you budgeting for services through Palo Alto itself or through a third-party vendor?
Through a third-party vendor.
Hi, Jason. This is Tim Horgan. How do you propose to provide for ongoing? Obviously, you're going to get your support service from Palo Alto itself, but if you've got future configuration changes you need to make after the initial setup.
Oh, I think I'm comfortable with the implementation and management of. I just wanted to get sort of some backup to kind of double check my work, kind of proof the design, and I'm confident I could do it myself. It's really just a
not spread myself too thin as far as the calories that it would take to expend on that. Good to see you again, Tim. We've had some good discussions before, but it's just good to see you again.
Okay, thank you. Good to see you too.
Are there any other questions from the committee on item G? All right.
Folks, not sorry to potentially butt in out of order, but just Jason, just as an FYI, we have a fantastic resource that we work with for Palo Alto support, ongoing support and configuration management sorts of things. So happy to provide that if you don't already have a vendor identified from a support perspective. Very affordable as well.
Thank you for that. I'm open to any suggested contacts. I'm pretty comfortable with it. I have experience managing and configuring and engineering solutions using Palo Alto myself. But again, just sort of want to make sure I do it kind of with the current specs. It's been a couple of years since I've been managing them directly, so I'm pretty comfortable with the technologies. I intend to go through the certification and training processes as well, just for personal knowledge sake. But I appreciate that. Thank you, Mark.
All right, thank you. And I just have to say, I love seeing security community jump in and share ideas and information. That I always appreciate seeing that. Any other questions from the committee on item G? All right, seeing and hearing none. I saw someone join the meeting. Is that from the city of Sparks? All right, I will assume that's a no. So we will move on to item H, Washoe County Incident Response Plan.
Hello, everyone. This is Tal speaking on behalf of the Washoe County Cyber Team. So the main objective of all of our 3 grants that we submitted is to comply with the Nevada Revised Statute, Chapter 603A, I believe. And in that policy, it states that we must comply with a cybersecurity framework, more specifically the CIS controls. So each one of these grants that we applied for will aid us in complying with a different section of that framework. So for the IR plan, this specifically complies with CIS Control 17, which highlights the importance of establishing and maintaining an incident response plan. As far as I know, we currently do not have an IR plan, so it will really help my team to have some sort of procedure and policy to minimize impact and reduce downtime for our users. So we are planning to hire a vendor to help us to create this IR plan that's up to standards and policies.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the committee on this item, item H? All right, seeing and hearing none, we'll proceed straight to item I, the annual penetration testing for Washoe.
I believe this one is being talked about in CIS Control 18, which discusses performing annual penetration tests. Currently, CISA completes a pen test for us every 2 years, but again, that they don't conduct supplementary valuations. They cannot do it annually. So again, we will hire a vendor to do those pen tests annually.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the committee on item I? All right, seeing and hearing none, we'll move right on to item J, the Cortex XDR host insights. And Tal, it's back to you.
All right. So currently we use XDR to conduct threat investigation and prevention across our endpoints and networks. And with this add-on module to Cortex, we hope to have more endpoint visibility and improved vulnerability management with the CVE metrics that they provide with the add-on. And it also helps us with host inventory and to further understand what our endpoints, where they are, what they're doing. It will really help us with actually a multitude of CIS controls. So
all right, thank you, sir. Any questions from the committee on item J?
Chair, this is Billy Samuels.
Yes, sir.
He started out and saying that his next 3 projects are going to be all for 603 compliance with CIS. But when I'm reading the cost on this, they're stating that if they do not get this license or denied, Washoe County would not renew the licensing for this module. So how does this have to be in compliance if they're not going to redo it if they don't get approved for this this project?
could you please repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. You stated it when you first started talking about for the Washoe County projects. The next 3 projects were going to be in compliance with 603 and the NRF. But you were just, I'm reading the project details on this one. It says if you guys are denied this project or this application, that you guys will not be renewing the license for this module. So how is that supposed to be in compliance if you guys aren't going to renew your license?
Well, the host insights module gives us a more improved endpoint visibility. Yes, we would be able to do this with different tools, but we found this tool to be the most helpful for us through what we've done, what we researched.
I'm sorry. Let me rephrase my question. So you guys are your project description of this is that you have to be NRS compliant 603.
Yeah.
But you are stating your details goes into state that if you are not accepted for this application, you will not renew your license. So would that make you out of compliance? Because that's what your project details are stating.
No. Yeah, okay. That'll have to be reworded. You're correct.
All right, thank you.
Instead, I would have to say something like it would improve our compliance with the NRS statute.
Okay, yeah, I don't think the wording is very good on this project, Chair.
Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for that insight.
Akeem Patel for the record. Something else that may need to be corrected. I think it looks like for all your projects, you have selected Washoe County as being a rural entity, and I don't think it qualifies as that under the definition of 50,000 or less people. So that should probably be good to know.
So, Amanda Jackson for the record, can I clarify one thing? We did have a conversation with our representative at FEMA, and because it looked like we were going to have a challenge getting applications to hit that 25% rural pass-through, they did say that if applicants were not a rural county per that definition, but they were going to serve rural areas within their county, they could identify what percent of rural populations this project would go to help, and Washoe County did identify 36% as their rural contribution.
Oh, okay, awesome, thank you.
All right, are there any other questions on item J? All right, seeing and hearing none, thank you for that clarification on the definition of rural. That's very much appreciated.
You're welcome. I did want to let you know I did get a hold of someone from City of Sparks, and they'll be jumping on.
Okay, cool. We'll come to them at the end. Give them a little bit more time. So we will move on to item K, Pershing County multi-factor. Do we have anyone from Pershing County on?
Amanda Jackson, I will also reach out to Pershing County.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll give them a little bit of time here too, and we will move on to item L, the Nevada Shared Cyber Threat Intelligence Platform.
Yes, this is Akeem Patel for the Office of Cyber Defense Coordination. There's been multiple requests of my office from the time I started with it to actually start up a shared cyber threat intelligence platform for the state. I believe that this was initially planned before I took over this office as a statewide SOC, but that was a significantly untenable program in the form of the expense that would be required in the initial plan. This project is kind of our attempt to kind of start building this project, something similar with using open source technologies and more cost-effective tools from the ground up, instead of trying to buy a turnkey solution from the beginning, which has a price point that we can't actually afford. So we actually did have a cybersecurity engineer start with our group recently, and this would be this funding would actually help get us the necessary supplies, tools, and software and equipment needed to let that engineer focus on building up this statewide threat sharing and intelligence program to work with all the other various entities across the state to actually help build up a shared threat intelligence network.
All right, thank you, sir. Are there any questions on item L? All right, seeing and hearing none, we will circle back to item F. Is anyone on the call at this point for the city of Sparks?
Hello, I'm Ty Reed, City of Sparks, IT Security Administrator.
Good morning, sir. Could you please make your presentation on your submittal? You have 5 minutes.
All right, sounds good. The City of Sparks submitted documentation and justification for the grant for this year. It's going to be mostly tuned towards the assessment of our firewalls, just kind of getting a baseline of the security configuration as it stands right now, and ensuring that it's configured to CIS best practice and configuration benchmarks. Also, Active Directory, same thing as well, just kind of doing an assessment on our current Active Directory environment on-prem and ensuring that we're doing best practices there as well, and cleaning up any old artifacts from previous administration. The Office 365 requirement or request was for Azure and Exchange, falling in line as well, just assessments to ensure that we have all the proper tooling, security, technology enabled and configured appropriately. Also to CIS benchmarks and best practice. I want to say that is pretty much sums it up. It's an assessment request from our frontline firewall all the way to our Azure instance, including email. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you, sir. Are there any questions from the committee on item F? All right, seeing and hearing none, we will circle back to item K, Pershing County's multi-factor authentication. Is there anyone on the call for Pershing County at this time?
Amanda Jackson, I did get a hold of the applicant contact and sent him the link. He said he would be jumping on.
Here he comes now, it looks like. Mr. Abbott, good morning. Am I correct in assuming that you are here to present on the submission by Pershing County?
Yes, sir.
All right, please go ahead.
So just a little bit of background. Pershing County is a 6,000 square mile county in northern central Nevada. We have about 100 employees, 2 of which are the IT employees. We have various discrete networks that we are working on making improvements to. Our environment is kind of organically grown, you might call it. So we are working to gradually make things better, make things more secure, make things more sane. The project that I've put before you for the state and local cybersecurity grant program is a piece of that. It's basically a single project for the upcoming year to best make use of our limited resources, both funding and personnel. And it's basically to implement multi-factor authentication on all of our workstations and servers. So the project includes the costs of the equipment and software that we estimate we will need to complete the project. It also includes enlisting the help of a third-party consultant who Pershing County has worked with before in making significant changes to our physical infrastructure, upgrading switches and firewalls. So we have a good working relationship, and they understand our requirements. And so that is what I am asking for as part of this grant program today.
All right, thank you, sir. Are there any questions from the committee?
Bob, this is Billy Samuels. I got a question, but this might be more for Dave. We can't just pick out who we're going to use for our providers. We're still going out for bid, right? I want to make sure that's clear for everybody. Is that correct, Dave?
Billy, absolutely, yes. That's what I was just asking the vice chair for a moment after everyone gave their presentations to kind of go over some high level rules to make sure everybody's on the same page, since this group probably hasn't received many of these federal grants before. You're spot on, Billy. Thank you.
Okay, sorry if I jumped the gun. I can refrain and wait for a minute.
All right, are there any other questions on item K? All right, seeing and hearing none, Dave, you've got the floor.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair Dave Bowerson. Just since we've got all the applicants on the phone or in Zoom land with us, I want to remind everybody the rules, because these are grants that might be different from what you're used to using and how you're used to using them. And so I want to make sure that we kind of put on the record, and you had to sign all these agreements when you did your application, but we always seem to run into some issues with new applicants that, oh, I didn't know that's what that meant. So the great participation has been really nice having this many applicants come in, and we're really close. I mean, it's nice to actually have under the dollar amount. We still got some wiggle room if we need to give some people some extra money. We still got some spare change laying in our couch for this grant. Normally we're trying to cut to about a third to fund stuff. So it's kind of nice to actually have some wiggle room to help people out. But make sure we tell our friends about the 2023 grant that Amanda talked about that's coming up, so that way we can use all of that, since hopefully we're getting about twice as much as we get now. But make sure you work with the Division of Emergency Management Homeland Security's grant staff before you spend any dollars, before you engage in any contracts. Make sure that you've spoken with our staff and you are clear on the rules. Everyone has their normal providers, and under NRS, you can normally do certain ways to do exclusive contracts, especially at the local government level. because you're spending federal funds, you have to follow federal law, and then because it comes to the state, you have to follow the state law, or the law that applies to state agencies on contracting, not the one for local governments. So please make sure before you do a single thing, you've spoken with Amanda, you've spoken with Zach, you've spoken with a member of our grant staff to do this the right way. If not, anything you spend that doesn't meet all the requirements is 100% on you to have to pay for yourself. And we don't have much wiggle room because it'll come up in an audit, a desk audit, a monitoring visit, or the true CPA audit. We do require quarterly reporting, and quarterly reporting is a two-phase report. One on the finances of the project, one on progress of those projects. So this isn't just we hand you the $34,000 to $900,000, whatever you've asked for in the grant. This is we reimburse you through the process. Even if you don't have any expenses that quarter, you still must fill out those reports. We do have the ability to stop paying you if you do not fulfill those quarterly report requirements. So please make sure you're talking to our staff. I want to make sure you guys are all set up for success. And the last thing, remember that one of the things you all agreed to in the application that's a requirement of the grant is that you're gonna be using CISA to assist you in your cybersecurity efforts. And I'd also really push you pretty hard to become great friends with Akeem Patel and use the Office of Cyber Defense Coordination, because he's got some great resources as he builds out his organization there to help our local government partners. So thank you for that moment to say some things. Anybody have any questions? You've been talking to Amanda, you've been talking to Zach, you can talk to me, and I'll probably turn back to them because I understand enough about the grants to get myself very much in trouble, but I know who to ask to get the right answer for you. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, I believe our chair had another commitment at 10 o'clock. All right, so we will close out item 5 at this point. And Melissa, yes. Go ahead. If you're speaking, you're still on mute.
So that was my mistake. I apologize.
That's okay. All right, so we will close out item 5 and move on to item 6, where we are going to be ranking the projects and budget proposals based on the information in the proposal and in the presentations that you just heard. So we will ask everyone to rank the projects. And then everyone will report in their rankings by voice, since we're all remote here. And we'll compile and present a final combined ranking for the committee to vote on. I think I got the terminologies correct there. Yes, okay, so we'll give everyone 5 minutes to go through your lists and rank your selections. And Sandy, do you have a question or comment?
I did have a question. I thought you had just mentioned that we had enough money for all the projects, or did I hear that?
Yes, we are under the full amount. So okay. Under normal circumstances, at least on the resilience committee, this can be a very painful process.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be painful at all this time around.
So the purpose of the ranking is just our feelings about their projects, because everyone's going to essentially.
I would say it's maintaining the process that we normally do. You know, we get the presentations in, we have the presentations made, we do the ranking, and you know, that's the process that we've had. this time around, the ranking isn't as critical, but it's still an important step.
And Vice Chair Dave Bowers, if I may, the other thing we do is this committee retains a purview to say that we don't agree with this project being what we want it to meet. And so the committee could rank a project, not to be moved forward for recommendation to myself for approval.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so everyone on the committee, let's take 5 and do our rankings, and we'll come back at 10:10. All right, the clock on the wall says it's 10:10. Since we had a brief recess, we need to take the roll to confirm quorum. So if you would, please.
Tim Robb. Bob Denhart,
Present.
Frank Abella,
Present.
Paul Embley,
Present.
David Fogerson,
Present.
Sanford Graves, Tim Horgan,
Present.
Jeffrey Lewis,
Present.
Akeem Patel,
Present.
Brandon Peterson, Sandy Ruballard,
Present.
Billy Samuels,
Present.
James Wood. We still have quorum.
All right, thank you very much. So we are now to the point where we present our rankings. And Dave, since you've been through this process a few times, if you could please demonstrate how we usually get the rankings in for this.
Absolutely. Amanda, you ready?
Ready.
Okay, A is 12. B is 9. C is 8. D is 5. E is 3. F is 7. G is 2. H is 6. I is 11. J is 10. K is 4. Lima is 1.
Okay, and just for the record, in descending order, we have 12, 9, 8, 5, 3, 7, 2, 6, 11, 10, 4, and 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Frank,
All right, Frank, you're up next.
Yeah, I'm still trying to download my sheet. So can we go to the next person, please?
Certainly.
Thank you.
So Paul, you are up.
I will do my best. I will say that I did not remember what F was about. Who was that?
That's the City of Sparks firewall assessment from their firewalls through their environment.
Okay, great. So just a recommendation, could you also send out like an Excel spreadsheet so that we can throw these in there? So let's see, we have 1 through 12, right? So A is 12. Oh, geez. Can I just tell you what I have? So the top one is L. Next is H.
Sorry, so L will be number 1.
Correct.
Okay.
Then number 2 is H.
Okay.
Number 3 is B. Number 4 is I. 5 is F. 6 is K. 7 is C. 8 is G. Followed by D, like David. Then J.
Sorry, was that 9 for D?
Correct.
Okay, and then J.
J is 10 and A is 11, and I recuse on E.
Okay.
And can I ask why you're recusing on E?
Well, because that's my project. So,
And you are able to vote on your project or rank on your
Yeah.
project.
Yeah, that's totally within the rules.
yeah, I mean, go ahead and because we have plenty of money, put me as 12. So,
Okay, let me read that back to you for the record. I got A11, B3, C is 7, D is 9, E is 12, F is 5, G is 8, H is 2, I is 4, J is 10, K is 6, and L is 1.
correct. Thank you.
All right, we do not have Sanford Graves in the meeting today. So, Mr. Horgan.
I'm sorry, I'm still trying to deduplicate mine. Can you come back to me, please?
All right. So, next is Jeffrey Lewis.
I'll second an Excel would have been helpful to start. So I went with A is 9, B is 1, C is 2, D is 4, E is 12, F is 7, G is 3, H is 8, I is 6, J is 11, K is 5, and L is 10.
Okay, for the record, that is A9, B1, C2, D4, E12, F7, G3, H8, I6, J11, K5, and L10.
Correct.
All right, next up we have Akin Patel.
Thank you. This is Akin Patel. I went with A11, B3, C1, D6, E12, F10, G5, H7, I9, J8, K2, and L4. I didn't want to give myself a 1.
For the record, that's A11, B3, C1, D6, E12, F10, G5, H7, I9, J8, K2, and L4.
Yep.
I commend you on your restraint.
First time in history.
Next up, we have Brandon Peterson. Sorry,
He was not present.
he is not present. So next up is Sandy.
Okay, forgive me, this is my first experience doing this, so hopefully I did this right. I have A12, B8, C9, D5, E3, F7, G2, H6, I10, J11, K4, and L1.
We have A12, B8, C9, D5, B3, F7, G2, H6, I10, J11, K4, and L1.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. Up next is Billy Samuels.
All right, thank you. I have 8, 2, 1, 3, 11, 10, 4, 5, 9, 12, 6, and 7.
For the record, that's A was 8, B2, C1, D3, E11, 4, H5, I9, J12, K6, and L7.
Yep, perfect. Thank you.
And James was absent.
All right, James is absent. And Tim Robb had to leave the meeting. We'll circle back to Frank. Are you ready to report your ranking?
Yes, sir. A11, B2, C7, D9, E4, F6, G3, H5, I10, J8, K12, and L1.
Bring that back for the record. It's A11, B2, C7, D9, E4, F6, G3, H5, I10, J8, K12, and L1.
Correct. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Horgan, are you ready to report your ranking?
Sorry, almost. There in a moment. A is 10. B is 4. C is 5. D 3. E 'Sorry, that's a D. So with that 10. I'm sorry. I've already got a 10, 9. F is 6. E is 1. Eight for H. Ten.
We already have a 10.
And I'm on the bottom. Oh, and I've already got an 8. L is 7. K is 2.
I'm sorry. K is 2.
J and L. What am I missing?
Oh, yes. Just an 11 and a 12 is what we're missing.
11, 12.
11 and 12.
Uh, 11 then for J and 12 for.
Just read that back for the record. So A is 10, B is 4, C is 5, D is 3, E is 9, F is 6, G is 1, H is 8, I 7, J 11, K 2, L 12.
All right, thank you. Our chair is unavailable for the ranking. My ranking is A12, E5, C1, D7, E4, F10, G6, H8, I9, J11, K2, and L3.
For the record, you have A12, B5, C1, D7, E4, F10, G6, H8, I9, J11, K2, L3.
All right, thank you. So,
we say the orders that way we can see what they are, and then we can do the voting to see if we agree.
all right, so, Amanda, could you read off the ranking that we came up with?
Yes, and we have and the docs is the record A12, B2, C4, E6, E9, E9, F8, I1, J7, K10. Sorry, I'm off of my numbers. Let me start over here. Okay. A12, B2, C4, D6, E9, F8, G1, H7, I10, J11, K5, and L3.
All right, so that is the combined ranking of all of the committee members that were available to rank. Can I get a motion to accept this ranking and move it forward for the grant program?
Akeem Patel for the record.
Okay, I heard Akeem come in first. Who was second?
This is Billy Samuels. I just want to make sure, I don't know what Akeem's first was. I'll let him go with this first, but I think we might need to make an adjustment to it. Go ahead, Akeem.
Oh, I was just motioning to go ahead. Was there something you need to adjust?
Yeah, though, this is Billy for that second. I think we need to adjust, make sure this rank's fine in order, but just make sure we do clear up that language on some of those projects, make sure it is in compliance when it does go to the Fed side.
All right, Akeem, are you comfortable with that amendment as your first?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we have a first and a second to accept this ranking and to clean up some of the language that was identified during the during the presentations and questioning. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor, signified by saying aye, please.
Aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. All right, the motion carries and the ranking has been voted on. Thank you very much, everyone. It's kind of nice to be able to fund everything that got proposed for once.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Be nice if we could do this at Resilience.
Would be phenomenal.
Yes, it would.
Gonna get more money.
Yes. All right, that closes out item 6. We move on to item 7. This is the second opportunity for public comment. No action may be taken on a matter raised under public comment until we have an opportunity to place that on an agenda. As Tim Robb noted at the beginning of the meeting, the new rules state that we need to point out how to make public comment by phone. The phone number is 1-669-219-2599. When you're prompted for the meeting ID, put in 686-738-8625 and press pound, and then press pound again when you're prompted for a participant ID, *6 to unmute yourself, and *6 again to go back on mute. And since YouTube is between 60 and 90 seconds behind, we'll start public comment. Any in this room? No, we're good. Any public comment in the Zoom world?
Bob, this is Billy Samuels.
Yes, sir.
If we can, for our next meeting and possibly for an agenda for discussion, I would like to see if we do have some funds that are obviously left over, which is atypical for many of our projects that we've run through. What are we going to do with those additional funds that are there, and are they available for any other projects moving forward? Obviously, it wouldn't be a de-obligated funds. They would still be still obligated. So I would like to have that as a meeting item if we can. If you guys want to converse with DEM and the rest of this task force.
I think that's a really good idea.
And Billy, I might take some state administrative agent action before then even. I just got to talk to staff to see what our timeline is, to see if we can open it up again real quick to get anybody else in.
Hey, Chief Franco.
And let's talk offline, Jared, because we can't respond to public comment. I'm gonna get smacked by the DAG probably for what I just did anyways. But she needed entertainment from me.
Is there any other public comment in the Zoom world? Seeing and hearing none, do we have any on the phone?
None written or on the phone.
All right, thank you. That will close out item 7, and we move to item 8. I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Dave Overton.
Thank you, sir. Second?
I second.
Thank you, Sandy. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Never opposed on that one. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned. Thank you for your